Greetings, everyone. Welcome once again to another training session. It's been a lovely time sharing knowledge and getting your feedbacks. Thank you very much for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for those who have reached out. We keep improving on our trainings, and your feedbacks are very much welcome. Okay, so we have been having this series of training in SAP for master data. Please kindly check our YouTube channel for other topics that we have handled in AR accounts receivable, in accounts payable, and in the accounts receivable, account payable. Talked about a lot of topics. For this session, we're actually going to see the general ledger master data. Of course, the general ledger is what we call the book of original entry. Every transaction that is financial in nature would have to get to the general ledger. So the general ledger is like the warehouse of all your financial transactions. So basically, documents like the invoice, the payments, the credit memos, they're all what we call the source documents. And behind those source documents are actually your general ledgers. And of course, when transaction hits those source documents, they actually feed into the general ledgers. The general ledgers hold this transaction, which is used to actually generate reports like your trial balance, your financial statements, statement of financial position, cash flow statements and all of that. So the GL is the powerhouse of FI, and other modules integrate with FI, mostly with the general ledgers. Talk about MM, talk about SD. The general ledger is what integrates with various other modules. Actually has an impact in the finance side of SAP. So let's go deep into the topic for the day. So that's sorry, I have to just run through this. Okay, so actually treated these topics. Okay, so welcome to the general ledger class. So like I previously said, the general ledger is your principal book of accounts, and understanding how the ledger works in SAP via the chart of accounts is key to understanding FI CO module in SAP, and gives you an insight into how FI integrates with other modules and the core of what FI is. The core of FI is the general ledgers. Every other thing are source documents, but the effect or the end product of all transactions feeds into the general ledger. And you need those ledgers to hold those transactions to be able to generate financial statements. So let's look briefly into what general ledgers are. Because of the importance, we're just going to take our time to explain what the general ledger is in the first part of this class, and see how we can relate that with SAP. Okay, so an SAP general ledger account is an account that is updated each time a user posts a financial transaction in SAP. So basically, it's financial in nature, and of course, your GLs are your accounts. These accounts are used to produce financial statements for internal and external reporting. So this is that's key to your financial reporting. There is no reporting without the general ledger. There is no financial reporting without the general ledger. And of course, other modules that have financial information will have to do this through the general ledger. Okay, a collection of all general ledgers used by the company is called the chart of accounts. So when you hear the word chart of accounts, it's basically the mother of all, it actually houses all the general ledgers. So the collection of all the general ledgers are called the chart of accounts. This just a view of what it looks like in SAP, and the transaction code to actually access your general ledger in the central form is FS00, one of the most popular transaction code for the FICU consultants. Okay, so let's go further. Now let's look at the concept of chart of accounts and the different types of chart of accounts we have in SAP briefly. We have said that chart of accounts is a list of GL accounts, master records that are used by organizations. The master chart of accounts must be assigned to each company code. So chart of accounts are assigned to, of course, company codes needs the chart of accounts to do this reporting. Chart of accounts are defined at client level, meaning that for the general depending for the, of course, it's divided into two. We're going to see that division, which is open for other company codes, because we also have a part of the chart of accounts that's specific to company codes. So types of chart of accounts in SAP, we have the operating chart of accounts. The operating chart of accounts in SAP contains the GL accounts that are used for regular postings. Of course, this is your operational chart of accounts. So they are the ones that are assigned to sub-ledgers, assigned to source documents. You use them in your general ledger postings. You are assigned to modules like the materials management, sales and distribution. You can, of course, in your OBYC gives you the integration between and FI, which is your chart of accounts or your GLs. The next is country-specific chart of accounts. Of course, for country-specific reporting, you might need to specify chart of accounts at country level. So, of course, they are needed to meet countries' legal requirements. So there can be some requirements from regulatory authorities or interested parties. So you can actually have a chart of account that is country specific. And the group chart of accounts, with the word group, of course, it's if you have a company that has sub companies, or the group chart of accounts is actually the account that is used for consolidating the sub chart of accounts at the sub company code level. So it's used basically for consolidation, and it's used by the corporate group. So these are the types of chart of accounts we have in SAP. Most likely, the most frequently used is the operating chart of accounts. And in some cases, when you want to do consolidation, you have to set up your group chart of accounts. Okay, so we have this structure of chart of accounts in SAP. This is courtesy of me. So I'll just try to make it look presentable and try to explain it in the simplest term. So your chart of accounts in SAP is divided into two major segments. The first is the chart of account segment, which is actually the segment that is open or created at the client level. So in this segment, you have access to the account group, you have access to the P&L statement type. Depending on the version of SAP you're using, we have access to the consolidation data in chart of account. So every company code within that client can have access to your chart of account segment. The second segment in SAP, your chart of accounts in SAP, is your company code segment. The company code segment, of course, the largest segment, and it's company code specific. You have information about your valuation group, your open item management for your chart for your ledgers, your reconciliation account type, your line item display, and of course, a tab. Of course, at the company code level, you can control documents from your chart of accounts using the field status group, the bank details in company code, and the interest calculation information in company code. So basically, in summary, for you to be able to create a chart of accounts in SAP, you will have to interface with these two different segments. It's good you understand these segments and how they can influence your chart of your ledgers in SAP. So we're going to really go to SAP and see how these segments look like. And we have also this slide that tries to briefly explain these segments before we actually go into creating our own chart of accounts. So I'm going to go to our SAP screen, try to this page. Make sure that so show it properly. Okay, you can see my you can see my screen. Okay, so go back. So you can actually get to your chart of accounts using the transaction code FS00. And also, according to our chart, if you want to get to the chart of account segment, the transaction code is FSPO. If you want to get to the company code segment, the transaction code is FSSO. If you want to get to the central that has both segments, it's FS00. This is actually one of the most popular transaction codes for the FI consultant. Okay, so we can type FS00 here, or we go through the menu path. We go to financial accounting, go to accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, master records, master record, go to GL accounts, go to, you have collective here, you have individual. So for individual, you go to, you can create an individual, you can create in 3 different ways: centrally, chart of accounts, and company code. So we go to centrally, we're going to use centrally because it has both the chart of account segment and the company code segment. So when you run the code, it brings you to your chart of accounts screen for the master data chart of accounts. This is where all GLs in SAP is created. You have this tree. So you have this hierarchy display. If this navigation tree is not in your SAP, then you have to go to settings, hierarchy display. So let me just remove mine. So if you remove yours and go back, you need to go back and run the code. See, it's no longer there. I need to bring it out. Go to settings, hierarchy display accounts, go back and run it again, and the screen appears. In your chart of accounts, you have various tabs, but the most obvious of them are your account types in folders. This is actually done at the configuration part in your FI. So the configuration has been done. So you have these various account type depending on what the chart of accounts configuration needs are. So you need to, if you're an end user, super user, you might need to consult with your consultant if you have any issues with the presentation of your account types. So inside your account types, you have your general ledgers. So also you have tabs just on top. Financial statement version, it has to do with your financial statements, tying your GLs to your financial statements. The integration for this module in SAP, for this version, the ECC, you can actually, the integration between the GL, between FI and CO is done at the element, the primary cost element area. So For all the GLs created, you need to tie them to a cost element. Of course, in new S/4HANA system, this feature has been removed. Everything can be done in the GL, your chart of account screen. Okay, so this is what it is. So I'm also going to select for us to finish with the explanation. I'm going to double click on one of the accounts. You're going to see the display. Now, this is just trying to show you what we're trying to say. The first, like I said, is divided into two segments. Types and description represent your chart of account segments. And you see, you have this, you have balance sheet, you have description. This segment can be accessed by any company code within your client. From control data down, it's actually your company code segment. So let's go and see what we need to talk about here. Okay, so now briefly, let's just look at some of the definition of terms. Account groups. Account group controls the GL's intervals and the screen layout while defining and extending GL account master data. So the account group here determines what the GL represents. So if I want to create an asset, I have to do that within my account group. Very, very important. This has been defined during the configuration stage. Just simply put, it defines what the account stands for. Profit and loss. Okay, so basically, this segment is tied to your functional area. However, we have two very important areas under your group. P&L statement account. If you're creating a chart of accounts that is a P&L account, of course, in your financial statement is basically two financial reports: your trading profit and loss and other comprehensive income, and your statement of financial position, which is the balance sheet, so to speak. So if the GL you're trying to create is the profit and loss account, you need to select that. If it's a balance sheet account, you need to select that. So this represents the account, the structure of the chart of accounts you want to create and how that chart of accounts will report in your financial statements. So it's important you understand the account you want to create and how you want it to report. Okay, consolidation is systematic classification of financial statements that serve a common purpose. The classification is marked by either corporate. Okay, now this actually this is a requirement if you're going to consolidate. There's going to actually be a consolidation of your chart of accounts. So it's important that if it's a requirement, then you see your consolidation data here. This is used to make provisions for consolidating your chart of accounts. If, like I said, your company is within a group, so that option has to be provided. Valuation class group. Sorry, I think we're here. Let's see this. Okay, so valuation class group, we're going to go and see what that. So we're going to go to control data. And see if we have that here. Okay, now the valuation group. It is used in FI integration. It determines GL to be posted automatically when you have issues with raw materials. In material matters that specify. Okay, so basically what it's trying to say is that in like I said, GL is a major integration between FI and so you have to specify how your finished goods and raw materials in will be valued. GL will be used to hold those valuations. So that's what it's trying to say. Reconciliation account type. Okay, so this actually is a very important transaction code when you're creating your GL master data for sub ledgers like your receivables and your payables. You need to determine how the reconciliation is going to be done. So, okay, general ledger is assigned to the business partner master record to record all transactions in the sub ledger. So, in creating these ledgers, the reconciliation type is actually key to creating your master data for customers or vendors. This configure, that's why you can see this, it's a payable account and it's tied to a vendor. And this account is actually assigned to your vendor master data when you're creating your vendor in FK01 or XK01. Very, very important note. So let's see the next thing. So this is just trying to explain some of the contents of your accounts. The next is open item management. General ledgers are kept with open item management if you need to check whether there is an offsetting posting for a given business transaction. You should use open item management for bank clearing accounts for goods received and invoice received, salary clearing accounts. So open management ensures that all items that have not yet been cleared are available for. Okay, so basically what this means is if you have accounts that would require clearing, it's important that you create them under your open item management. So if it's still under control, so you have this. So if this account is subject to clearing, meaning that, let's say, for example, in MM, you have GRIR, which represents some GLs that hold transactions. When you raise a PO, it will require another document to actually do that clearing, probably Amigo. So the essence of this is those accounts will hold transactions until there is another posting to actually move transactions from those accounts and take it to the right account. So basically what they're just like suspense accounts, but the essence is that they are not supposed to hold transactions except it is required, but the intention is for that account to be cleared at the end of the day. So if you're creating a GL that has that characteristics, you need to select this open line item management. That's a line item display. Very, 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 very important. Line item display field control. Display field in SAP FI is a control field in the company code segment of, okay, when you click this account transaction, you'll be able to see both the balance amount and the transaction view. So what this means is, if you don't select this option when you're creating your master data, you're only going to see the, when you run your line items, or let's say FBL 3N, to display line items, you're only going to see the balance view. You're not going to see the transaction view. So it's important that if you're creating a ledger, a line item, you select line item display, so that when you run a line item report, you could be able to show you both the transaction view and the balance view. So that's that. Okay, so of course, interest calculator. This has to do with calculating interest for balances. So if that chart of accounts has that characteristics, that happens in the next tab, interest calculator. So you have to input the indicator. If that account would, if there are open items, if to be subject to interest calculation. Okay, so let's see, is anything left? Field status group, very important, is assigned to GL. Field status groups are defined as, one can define a field as optional or So basically, this controls how the document is posted. So the field status group defines, which is this, defines how that GL will be posted. And of course, it's linked to also how the document will be posted using the posting keys. So the posting key field status and the GL field status must actually have the same, must actually speak the same language, or else that transaction will throw up an error. So it's necessary that you pick the right field status group for the right GL account master. Okay, so basically these are the few we can explain. Also, you have the post automatically reconciliation account, of course, for all your sub accounts. Of course, there are accounts that require monthly reconciliation or yearly reconciliation have to be selected. Accounts that are posted automatically. Also, your payables and sub accounts, this also need to be selected. You can actually, if this account is relevant for cash flow analysis, you can actually do that. Okay, so basically that's just explaining what the GL master data looks like. So we're going to just go into the task of creating the GL. So we have the steps already shown. So let's create a GL and see how that goes. So from here, you have the create screen, just a very tiny white folder-like stuff. So you can click on it. It's going to give you a create GL account screen. So I want to create now to create a GL, you need to tell the system under what account type will this GL fall. And of course, there is a naming convention for the type of account. As you can see, all assets starts from 1,000, income starts with 3,000, liability starts with 2,000, expense starts with 4,000. So, I mean, this depends on your company and what it has, or what's been defined as your chart of account structure. There's a standard, but you need to find out which works for your company. So I want to create an asset. So I guess I'm going to pick code from 1001. So I'll just pick this 1001. And I want to create it with this company code. So, okay. So I want to create a new GL. So go to the general data. Is under assets. It's a balance sheet account. So this is okay, cash in hand. Cash in hand. Okay, so I'm done with the general data. Go to the control data. This account currency is fine, which is local currency. You can change this to any currency that this year would be used for. I need the account to be in local currency. Nothing here. Line item display, sort key, authorization group. This has to do with authorizing who can authorize this GL. Accounting clerk, the person who is actually creating this, or has asked us to create this, or who can edit this later. So you have their names. It's fine, good. Go to create bank and interest, select a field status group. You can create your own field status group, or you can use those with standards. So it can fall under bank accounts. This is cash. These options are fine. Not relevant. Keywords. This has to do with spellings. You can write this in other languages. Just want to show you this tab. Click the drop down here. You can use for information. You can write more about the account assignment, information in company code. This will show you the chart of accounts that this GL is tied to, the country key, and the controlling area that this GL is created with. So this is the integration between FI and CO. You can see that CO is tied to the GL creation process. So if you're done, click on save. And if all the information provided are okay, well, you now have your GL created. Right, so it's that simple, it's that easy. You can create as many GLs as you want, and you can also copy from the GL. You can create a GL from an existing GL. So click on copy. Let's say you want to create, you're copying from 1001, you want to create 1002. Say okay. Okay, so this exists, so let's say 1006. So it will copy all the settings. You can see it's just going to copy everything. So, okay, so this is done. This is already created too. So, so you can copy anyways to a new transaction code to create a new chart of accounts. So that's that. So after creating, we have the other option. So let's go back. So you can create using those transactions. Next is how to block or delete the GL account. So let's say you want to block it from being used. So click on the account. You have this padlock-like sign. So click on it. So you can block for creation, block for posting, block for planning, block for posting. So you can block it at chart of accounts level, you can block it at company code level. So let's say this chart of accounts, you don't want it to be used or a transaction to be posted in it. You can block that for use. So that's showing you that. The next is how to delete. So steps there. Sorry. So you can just use the delete sign. So let's check that. Go to asset, double click on new account created. How to delete sign just by the side. So you can set this for deletion, mark for deletion, and save that. This transaction will no longer be used to be marked for deletion. Okay, so of course you can, if you want to work on a new company code, create a GL on a new company code, you can change the company code and continue with the process. You have this sign, you can also change the GL that has been created. So this is actually how you create your GLs in SAP. So it's been a wonderful time. In our next sessions, we're going to be going into another training. We're going to be looking at packing and holding transactions, and look at more on our documents. Thank you very much for finding time to go through our videos. Thank you for all those who have subscribed and liked. Please, your feedback is important to us. You can reach me through my YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Or you can, if you have any questions, you need to reach out to me. My WhatsApp number is there, and my email is there. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely getting to share this information with you. Do have a nice day, and don't forget, my name is Adele Kenichikeli, your SAP consultant. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.